what the data set has shown, that 3 out of 4 treated patients very likely would not require Mohs surgery. So, as your viewers would know, that there are about nearly 5 million new cases are diagnosed every year.
Welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Dr. Raza Bakari. He is the CEO of Medicus Pharma. And Dr. Bakari, it's nice to see you again. How are you?
I'm doing really well, Steve. Thank you so much. The spring is finally around the corner.
It is. It is. It's always good news. And that's why you're here to share a little more details in your phase 2 clinical trial for your skin jet cancer therapy. And you and I talked last week about some of the stuff that you were seeing some top line data. You've got a bit more data to share with us today. Very positive news from what you're seeing, I would imagine.
Absolutely, Steve. We couldn't be more excited to what we have seen in the phase 2 data set for our novel therapy to treat basal cell carcinoma non-invasively, which is an unmet medical need. And what the data set has shown, that 3 out of 4 treated patients very likely would not require Mohs surgery. So, as your viewers would know, that there are about nearly 5 million new cases are diagnosed every year. About 1 million Mohs procedures can be carried out in the United States because there are so many trained Mohs surgeons. So there is a backlog and it's an unmet medical need. And our proof of concept study, which has been very focused on the clinical clearance right from the outset, now shows for the 200 microgram cohort, where we have at day 57 of excisional biopsy, 73% clinical or visual clearance. So for a clinician, that is a very promising, and where 3 out of 4 treated patients don't require Mohs, and they get put on a follow-up protocol, and perhaps some of them would come back with a recurrence. But nonetheless, it helps address the backlog, but more importantly, gives us enough of a data set to enter into an end of phase 2 meeting with the FDA for how to design the pivotal study, but also accelerate partnering discussions. So it's an exciting outcome, and which further a little bit requires a interpretation that our microneedles by itself, which are patent protected, also lend biological activity, and we have known that right from the outset. So tip loading them with the doxorubicin creates the separation of a higher clinical clearance 3 out of 4 times. So this is a very promising outcome for us.
Yeah, I was reading more about the study itself and how you were doing things, and I noticed that there was an active placebo, and that was fairly. It's not very uncommon to be using something like that. Was that designed specifically in a way that you wanted to have this one done?
So yes, we did. It's a novel study. I think there is a nomenclature. The description of the study could be misleading because the description says it's a placebo-controlled triple-arm double-blind study. Well, the placebo, which is the microneedle array without the doxorubicin, is also an active arm. It is not a blank. Our entire patent that we have, it is a composition of matter and a method of use patents that we have is around those carboxymethyl cellulose microneedle arrays that lend a biological activity by itself. Now, when they are tip loaded with the doxorubicin, they get supercharged, And in our phase 1 study, which was completed in 2021, it was a dose escalation study ranging from 25 microgram to 200 microgram. And our current study, where we only used 100 microgram and 200 microgram arm, and compared that with the blank or the non-micro doxorubicin tip-loaded arm, it shows clearly that 200 microgram is the way forward, where it has the highest separation in clinical clearance. The histological clearance does not have a very wide separation, but that's a regulatory factor. The FDA will provide us guidance that how much more histology clearance should be there. But from a clinician point of view, 3 out of 4 times you see visual clearance, treated patients, 3 out of 4 don't need more. That sets the stage for what we believe is a blockbuster in the making.
Okay, and lastly, that FDA meeting will happen imminently, right? You like to get in to see them as soon as possible.
Yeah, we have begun the process. We
Yeah.
still need the CSR report to become available to us. We feel before the end of the first half of this year, at least we should have our request with the FDA. Perhaps a meeting already scheduled, but if not in the first half, certainly early second half of this year. So June, July, we should be sitting with the FDA. But hopefully, long before that, we could have a strategic partner that can co-develop this on a go-forward basis.
Yeah, important decisions and work still to come for sure. Dr. Bokhari, thank you so much. Really great update, great explanation as well, and appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Steve, for having me back on your program.
All right, Dr. Raza Bokhari, the CEO of Medicus Pharma.